Buenos dias, we're in Malaga, Spain, ready to take a ride on BMW's new F900 GS. It's lost 31 pounds and it's got a bigger engine, now nearly 900cc, 105 horsepower. So we're going to take it for a spin. We're going to do some on-road and some off-road, so come along for the ride. Well, here we are in Spain, and I'm riding the new BMW F900 GS, and it's been kind of a surprise for me. The older GS, it seemed to get lost in the shuffle with all the Triumphs and KTMs, and now BMW has reinvigorated their parallel twin GS, and boy, they've really improved it. The motor especially gets kudos from me. Bumped up the displacement to nearly 900cc, and the horsepower goes up to 105, I think, from 95. And even more impressive than the peak numbers is how it makes its power. It pulls from as low as 2,000 RPM, and then it comes on really strong with a great mid-range punch. And on our road today, it was kind of invigorating to access that kind of power. And then in the afternoon, we spent all afternoon off-road, and that's where it really shined because, yeah, you could just lug it in a taller gear instead of revving it, and it made it the traction more accessible instead of wanting to spin up. It really put its power down really well. Of course, it's got all riding modes, so you got street or road, rain, dynamic, and Enduro and Enduro Pro. And Enduro Pro is what we were in pretty much all of our off-road time. It disengages the rear ABS. There's no freewheeling effect when you're in a low traction situation. And I ended up using just switching the traction control off. It's a one button function. And so that way I didn't have to worry about traction control interfering when I'm trying to climb up a hillside or something. It really performed well. So the other thing I really like what BMW did to this update is they really changed the profile of this. We were shown a profile shot with the old bike over top of it, and the old bike looked really tall and bulky. And this one, they really got the profile a lot lower, and it looks like a smaller motorcycle, and it feels like a smaller motorcycle when you're riding it. BMW knocked off 31 pounds off this bike. I think it's a 481 pound curb weight. And so they saved 10 pounds by taking the old steel tank off and putting on a thermoplastic one. So 10 pounds there. The tail section's also lighter, and this great looking Akrapovic exhaust also saved some weight. So they got the power up and they got the weight down, and those are two great ingredients for a more fun motorcycle. To enable off-road capability, of course, we've got a lot of suspension travel, 9.1 inches up front, 8.5 in the back. It boosts the seat height up to 34.3 inches, which is kind of tall, but I'm not a tall guy and I could handle it without any trouble. Also, BMW sells an accessory low seat to bring it down a little bit more. So shorter riders don't have to be as intimidated by a 900cc adventure bike. Typical for BMW, we've got a lot of nice features. Heated grips are standard. The traction control and everything else is controlled by an inertial measurement unit, an IMU. So it's got that kind of high-tech feature. Another thing I like about this bike is parallel twins aren't normally as glamorous as some other engine configurations, but the 270-degree crank on this parallel twin, it spits out a really nice sounding exhaust note. It's burly. It sounds kind of like mean and menacing, and maybe the Akrapovic does something for that. So it really sounds like a mean and purposeful engine. In road use, the 21-inch front wheel isn't ideal because it's a taller, kind of slows down steering compared to a 19-inch. But there's wide bars. They're slightly repositioned this year, and you can lever this thing into corners with a lot of haste, let's say. And at no point did I touch down the foot pegs in cornering. And when I was in this same general area a few months ago on the Triumph Tiger 900, I could drag the pegs on that bike with the 21-inch front wheel. So this thing handles really nice. As for things I wasn't that pleased about, the windshield you see here is a lower one and no buffeting. It's smaller, so less wind protection. But the taller version fitted on the green version called Sao Paulo green, I believe. That one caused some buffeting on my helmet, especially with the peak on the visor. And I wish there was some adjustment so that you could smooth that out based on your rider height and how you're sitting behind it. That was one of the few things I didn't like about it on the road. Also, the seat for the kind of on and off situations we were in, it was fine, but I think if I was going to be doing a whole day on the bike, it might end up being a little bit uncomfortable. So maybe an accessory seat might fix that problem and treat your butt a little nicer. For braking, BMW uses Brembo front brake calipers, which are pretty good. They're not the radial mount monoblock stuff that a lot of its competitors have. And so it didn't quite have the power and the feel that you can get from similar bikes in this price range. So what we're looking at here is a vastly improved F900 GS. BMW has done a great job with this. I really love the motor. I like its new styling. And aside from a couple of nits to pick, I really like this bike, and I could imagine myself being a happy owner, taking it on a long trip and taking it off-road, because in the off-road situations, it really works well, and this motor is a big improvement over what it was before. So if you've enjoyed this video, please like it, give it a subscription, add it to your list, and put a comment in there and let us know what you think of this new BMW F900 GS.